just very scary, you know, worse than I've had in Las Vegas. I've lived here almost 30 years.
Nerves rattled.
This is just like crazy.
In 2 days, 2 powerful earthquakes hit California, shaking Las Vegas.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The probability of another 5 in the next week is extremely high.
Is the big one coming?
There's always that chance.
The best way to prepare. Knowledge.
Sooner or later, you're going to have one. So you have to prepare for it.
And a plan.
Because it's going to happen sooner or later. And it did.
Expecting the unexpected.
The shake, rattle, and roll felt last week in the Las Vegas Valley left many to wonder about earthquakes in our area. Our entire team is here. Sam Argier, Cassandra Jones, Les Crifferton, along with myself, are here for you tonight.
And we want to make sure that you're well informed, so you know what to do when the next earthquake comes. We will also be answering some of your questions.
Now, coming up in the next half hour, we're going to offer insight and several different factors that you want to know about when it comes to earthquakes.
And we're going to give you tips on how to protect yourself in any disaster and the importance of having a plan to discuss with your family and loved ones.
And there are a lot of myths out there. We'll sort them out for you.
So let's start off with how we got here. The 4th of July offered more than just a boom from fireworks. Just after 10:30 a.m. local time, a 6.4 earthquake struck Ridgecrest, California. Many here in the valley felt it, and we received so many of your videos into our newsroom, and we were told the potential of another quake was high.
Then came Friday night, just before 8:30, a larger 7.1 earthquake again in Ridgecrest, California. You're looking at video there as the quake shook. Those living there have experienced over 3,000 aftershocks in the past 3 days, leaving people uneasy as they try to resume a sense of normalcy.
There's another one right now, aftershock.
Whoa.
It's all right. It's all right. We're safe. Just an aftershock, honey.
We're okay, buddy.
Now, since early Saturday, Fox 5 has had a news team in Southern California in the Ridgecrest area. Alexandra De Leon is near the Ridgecrest region right now with the very latest on what's going on and how the town is recovering. Alex?
Yeah, Les, that's right. I've been here now a few days, and as of today, there's a lot more action. More stores are finally opening up, and finally, people are getting back into their normal routines and their daily flow of their everyday life. When a 6.4 earthquake rattled the town of Ridgecrest Thursday, many people were left shaken up. Even a day later, a 7.1 earthquake hits.
When it started rumbling, we got maybe into the kitchen, and then it stopped, and then it really started rocking.
Many in Ridgecrest and surrounding areas were left scared, not knowing if another quake would hit.
We were like pretty scared because we thought like things were gonna fall, and we thought like something bad was gonna, like a worser one I guess, was gonna come up.
Surrounding cities like Trona also impacted. Many left without basic necessities.
It's miserable with no power in Trona at all. It's really hot. We have no running water.
But even amidst all this disaster, this tight-knit community stood strong and came together.
There's a sense of camaraderie here, and I think that really came to light after this earthquake. People come together in times of crisis.
Many now rebuilding, moving on with their lives.
We are Ridgecrest strong. We will come back. This is not going to hold us down.
And many now are finally moving on after everything that happened last week. But most of all, they've definitely learned their lesson and how to prepare for the next one in case it hits. Reporting live from Ridgecrest, California, Alexandra De Leon, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas. Back to you, Ted, in the studio.
Yeah, let's take a look at where the activity has been, not only in the last hour, but also the last 12 hours, last 24 hours in the Ridgecrest area. Thousands of aftershocks. But if you look back the last couple of days, going back to around 5 o'clock on Saturday morning, they've only seen the strongest quakes in the 3 magnitude or higher, up to about a 3.8, 3.9 in the last couple of days. So plenty of activity there. It's just been fairly quiet as far as the bigger ones that we did see last week. Let's take a look at the earthquakes around the Las Vegas area and the Fox 5 viewing area. A lot of quiet, but that doesn't mean we're not on top of any faults. Take a look at this video right here I shot today. This is the Whitney Mesa fault right here in Henderson, one of 7 faults in the Las Vegas Valley. We'll show you the rest of the 6 later on. Let's get to Cassandra Jones now, who will tell us a little bit more about faults in the western U.S.
All right, thanks, Ted. And of course, to understand earthquakes, we need to explain what a fault is. So a fault is a crack or section of cracks on the Earth's surface. Now, you're looking at the San Andreas Fault. It's the most well-known fault in the country, and it's about 200 miles from Las Vegas. When an earthquake happens, there's a sudden movement in this fault, and the result is the shaking that we feel. So think of it this way. When you snap your fingers and one finger moves past the other, it creates a sound wave. Well, the slip along the fault produces energy waves that we feel as shaking. And the length of a fault can vary in size, from the size of an ant to hundreds of miles long, like the San Andreas. And according to geologists, there's no perfect science when it comes to fault size and intensity. It comes down to 3 factors: length, depth, and the amount that the fault moves. These all play a role on how strong a quake may be. And there are thousands of faults across the United States. And guess what? Here in Nevada, we have 1,500 active faults. Our state is one of the most active regions in the country, and Nevada ranks in the top 3 behind California and Alaska that have experienced the largest quakes over the last 150 years. And you could be living next to a fault right here in Southern Nevada. To find out if you're living next to a fault, just head on over to our website, fox5vegas.com. Click on the link on our homepage, type in your address, and see the faults near you. To talk more about our state's history and the power of the quakes, here's meteorologist Sam Argier.
Thank you, Cassandra. Now, when earthquakes occur along those faults that Cassandra just talked about, their strength is measured in terms of magnitude. Now, on the lower end of the scale, magnitude 1 through 3, those are considered microquakes. They're rarely felt and do not generally produce any damage. Now, we see a number of microquakes every day, really, around our state. But when you start to get in the 4s, they start to become more noticeable. That's when you start to see the shaking across a wider area. And when we get into the 5s and the 6s, we start to see more damage. Now, we only see a handful of magnitude 7 earthquakes around the world every year, only about 18 per year. And then 8s and 9s, they're even more rare. Now, looking at the Ridgecrest earthquakes over the weekend, when you compare the magnitude of the 6.4 on the 4th of July to the magnitude 7.1 on July 5th, that 7.1 released 11 times more energy than the 6.4. That's why a lot more people here in Southern Nevada felt the 7.1. It released a lot more energy. Now, let's widen things out and talk about the earthquakes that we see here in our state. As Cassandra mentioned, we're the 3rd most seismically active state in the United States. Now, here we're plotting all of the magnitude 6.0 and above since 1900. They are focused over the central and northern part of Nevada, especially over western Nevada, some of the most seismically active portion of our state. Now, the largest was a 7.3. That was in October of 1915. It occurred between Reno and Carson City in Pleasant Valley. Now, the largest Nevada earthquake in the last 30 years was actually a magnitude 6 near Wells, Nevada. Some of you may have felt that. That's in the far northeast corner of our state. It damaged 30 buildings, caused more than $10 million in damage. Now, when you look at earthquakes with the magnitude 4.5 and above, those are the ones you really start to feel. We see a lot more dots on the map, but you can really see the focus is again over the western and northwest portion of our state. Around Las Vegas, most of these earthquakes have been around Boulder City and Lake Mead. And really interesting what has caused these. After Hoover Dam was built in the mid-1930s and the lake was filled, there was an uptick in seismic activity. The weight of the water in the reservoir caused the earthquakes around Lake Mead. And even today, when the water level in Lake Mead fluctuates, we still see earthquakes around this area around Lake Mead. Now, even though we've not seen a magnitude 6 or greater earthquake in recent history near the Las Vegas Valley, we still have to be prepared. According to the USGS, there's still a 12% probability that over the next 30 years, a magnitude 6 or higher earthquake will strike within 30 miles of Las Vegas. Now, magnitude 6 is estimated to cause major damage to 15,000 buildings and could cause about $7.2 billion in total economic loss. So this is something we really keep an eye on. And to put things in perspective, we look at other parts of our state. Reno, 67% probability. Carson City, 70%. So the northern part of our state definitely has a lot more seismic activity than us here in Southern Nevada. Now, talking about preparing for earthquakes, let's talk about building codes and how our buildings prepared. Let's go over to meteorologist Les Criffeton with more on that. Les?
All right, Sam, thank you very much. The good news for us here in Clark County is that there was no significant damage from either Thursday's 6.3 or Friday night's 7.1 quakes out of Ridgecrest, California. Here in Clark County, we should consider ourselves lucky because we have a young building inventory with all the newer buildings updated with building codes. They're already integrated to protect life.
In a big event, some buildings will be damaged by earthquakes, and that's to be expected. But the building will have performed its job properly if it allows all of the people to exit safely.
All right, so one question being asked of us is damage to the stadium, the new Las Vegas Stadium. Engineers checked out the site after Friday's quake, and we're told that there was nothing of note. Now, you may recall back in 2014, construction crews had to take down the Hartman Tower after a series of construction defects were discovered. It was built as part of MGM's City Center, right in the center of Las Vegas and the Las Vegas Strip. It was taken down slowly because of the structures all around it. It took about a year to complete the floor-by-floor demolition. Now, the Nevada Department of Transportation told Fox 5 that since Nevada lies within an active seismic zone, they designed bridges and connector ramps to withstand moderate earthquakes. The last time NDOT had to do emergency inspections occurred in May of 2015 when a 5.4 earthquake struck near Caliente, Nevada. Several freeway ramps were closed at the Spaghetti Bowl while NDOT made emergency repairs. All right, now not everyone felt the quakes that we experienced last Thursday and Friday. The reason, according to Vincent Ramirez with the Nevada Geological Survey, is that the type of rock that we may have been standing on at the time of the quakes. Now, solid basement rock like granite emits more energy, so the chance of you feeling the intensity is much higher than, say, compared to the softer sedimentary rock that is in and around our area as well that also absorbs energy. A lot of people said they did not feel one or either of the earthquakes.
Still ahead on Fox 5 Seismic Special. We heard from you after you felt the earthquake. Chief Meteorologist Ted Pretty answers your questions sent to him minutes after it hit. And are you prepared should a natural disaster hit southern Nevada? What you can do today to make sure you're ready tomorrow to keep your family safe.
Our Fox 5 weather team has received so many questions from you over the past few days. Let's get to some now. Jennifer wrote to us and asked, how long did it actually take for the waves, she means, to reach us here in the Las Vegas Valley from the epicenter? Well, here's the answer. The cluster of earthquakes is about 144 miles from the Las Vegas area. The initial waves from an earthquake can travel anywhere from 1 to 5 miles per second. It really depends on the type of soil. The more firm the soil, like mostly rock between here and Ridgecrest, California, the faster the waves travel. Based on that, it's estimated that the waves from the larger California earthquakes took about 29 seconds to travel from California to the Las Vegas area, or 16,000 miles per hour. Let's get to the next question. Mercalli Botus wrote us to say, we've lived here for 49 years and have never heard this information. That was the reaction to this graphic I posted showing the 7 faults in the Las Vegas Valley. Take a look. The oldest in the Las Vegas Valley are close to 1 million years old. The youngest are just over 100 years old. Those are the faults right there. And in the far northwestern portion of the Las Vegas area, Eglinton Fault and a portion of Frenchman Fault to the east side are not that old. Not to worry, though, these faults have been dormant for thousands of years. Finally, this one from Genmark, from Mercalli, actually, this was from Genmark, who says, do we know what magnitude it was for Las Vegas? Well, here's the answer to that question. Magnitude measures the energy released in the immediate area of the earthquake outside of the immediate earthquake area. And this is the situation here in the Las Vegas area in Nevada. We measure intensity, or the amount of shake the effect on humans and structures does have. We have the modified Mercalli intensity scale. You might not have heard of this before. It uses Roman numerals from 1 to 10, with 10 as the strongest. The last 2 large California quakes look to register towards the middle of the Mercalli scale at a 4, described as felt by nearly all. Pictures swing out of place on the wall, small objects move, and a few objects fall from the shelves.
Now, we also receive questions, should you get earthquake insurance? Do you need it here in southern Nevada?
One interesting thing about earthquake damage is it's not covered by normal insurance policies. And so if you're concerned, and as you well should be in the state of Nevada, about your property, you need to talk to your insurance company about purchasing extra earthquake insurance. So when you think your property might be covered by insurance, it might not be if it was damaged by an earthquake event.
So there you have some good advice from Joshua and his team over at Las Vegas Natural History Museum.
Now, if nothing else over the last few days have taught us is to think about how prepared we are if something big were to occur here in southern Nevada. If not an earthquake, a flood, or a large power outage from a storm, We want to make sure you have everything you need to keep you and your family safe.
So let's start with the misconceptions you may have regarding the actions you take when you start to feel an earthquake. Heading to the doorway is outdated advice. In modern homes, doorways are no stronger than any other part of the house and usually have doors that will swing and injure you. So what should you do? Well, take a look at the graphic behind us. Remember to drop, cover, and hold on during an earthquake. Drop to the ground, take cover by getting under a sturdy desk or table, and hold on to your shelter until the shaking stops. If there is no table or desk near you, drop to the ground, and then if possible, move to an inside corner of the room, stay in a crawling position to protect your vital organs, and be ready to move. This is exactly this video right here of what you should not, is an example of what you should not do. Run if you're outside, move to a clear area if you can, safely do so. Avoid power lines, trees, signs, buildings, vehicles, and other hazards. And if you're in a stadium or theater, stay at your seat or drop to the floor between rows and protect your head and neck with your arms. Don't try and leave until the shaking is over. And if you're driving, pull over to the side of the road, stop and set the parking brake. Avoid overpasses, bridges, power lines, signs, and other hazards. Stay inside the vehicle until the shaking is over.
And you'll want to prepare your family and keep everyone safe. And the way to do that is with an emergency preparedness kit. And of course, you have the obvious items, right? You have food, you have water, but there are certain things that I think many of us don't think about. And you can see some of these items behind us, prescriptions and medications for your entire family. And hey, that includes your pets as well. Cash and personal identification and spare keys. I know in our home, we have a go bag of sorts that has all of our important documents, you know, passports, social security numbers, so that way if you need to move quickly, you can get out safely. And also any special items for small children, like diapers and formula, or if they eat those special food packs, and of course extra food and supplies for our pets. Sometimes we forget about our pets in these situations as well.
Yeah, it's very important not to forget about our pets, of course. And one thing that you do want to make sure of is that you know where your emergency kits are, because you know, in my case, I went home yesterday, I was looking around for it, I could not find it. It took me about an hour to find it, and then I looked inside and a lot of stuff that I had was outdated, so that's something else to think about.
And some of those meal preparedness kits that you have as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of those that you have in your kit at home that they can last up to 15 years, so they're better than canned goods.
Yeah, they're MREs, which they give to the military, meals ready to eat. That's something that's very big, and they're very much inexpensive to get, and something that you can hold on to and have. You're looking right now at some furniture here. You want to make sure that you do secure furniture if and when you are putting your furniture in place, so that in the event of an earthquake, it doesn't fall over and topple on you, because as they say, you know, the best thing you can do is just duck and cover yourself, so that the worst injuries can happen to you really is from things falling off the walls or from pot shelves and things like that.
Yeah, and of course you want to make sure that you have everything strapped down, including your water heater. Make sure it's strapped to studs, and bolt down any gas appliances as well.
All right, and something else too, locate your nearest fire and police stations and emergency medical facilities to keep your phone charged. That's also very important. Don't use it as a flashlight. Your batteries will run down much quicker, and it's more likely in case of emergency you'll need it. And also, here's some good news. Apparently text systems work even in an earthquake situation, so they would not be lost, which is very important. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that. And sleep with a flashlight, because in the event that we have an earthquake and it's dark, you want to have a flashlight to see how you can get out of your house. And of course, make sure you have a radio or a TV, and don't expect to see that you're going to have internet access anywhere. So,
and of course, when you have young kids as well, children, they might be scared in these earthquakes. Great teaching moment, I think, over the last few days, to let them know and have that plan in place when an earthquake happens, sharing the tips we've been giving this afternoon. And one thing we've been talking a lot about, and we've got a lot of questions from viewers, we're talking about an early warning earthquake system. Now, even though we can't forecast when or where an earthquake will occur, the USGS is currently working on an earthquake early warning system for the western U.S. It's called Shake Alert. It can give you anywhere between a few seconds of warning to around a minute warning before the shaking occurs at your location. Now, a few second warnings might not sound like a whole lot, but it can make a big difference. This would allow people to get to that safe place, allow doctors to stop performing surgery if they're in the middle of it, also stop air and rail travel before that shaking begins. Now, the Shake Alert app is already available in LA, with the goal of rolling it out to the entire West Coast in the near future. So a little bit of a heads up possible in the future for the shaking.
And if you don't want a fire like this to happen to you, this happened in California, we reached out to Southwest Gas. Here's what they advise you. If you do smell gas in your home, just leave. do not shut off your gas. Leave it to the pros. Also, don't use electricity. For example, don't use your garage door. That could ignite some of the fumes with the electrical sparks.
And if you have any weather-related questions, Ted, Sam, Les, and I, hey, we're all on Facebook. And you can find our page and interact with us live. And if there's breaking news, we'll jump on Facebook Live to keep you informed.
And let's go live into the Fox 5 newsroom. That is our all-star digital team here. They cover news breakers, everything you need to know about what's going on around Southern Nevada. Check out our website right now for up-to-the-minute coverage. We'll be right back with our seismic special.
Earthquake awareness in schools is gaining popularity. Here's video we shot out of schools in North Las Vegas and Henderson during the Great Shakeout. The event creates a realistic earthquake for students. An announcement goes over the PA system. Then kids jump into action. They have to remember to drop, cover, and hold on for safety.
Our Fox 5 seismic special rolls on. Can animals predict when an earthquake is going to occur? We'll run down some fact or fiction next.
And you can be the first to know if there's a weather emergency by downloading our mobile app, and you can also watch live streams of our newscast anytime we're on the air.
And there are a lot of myths out there regarding earthquakes. Let's take a look at some of the most popular ones.
For the first myth is typically what you see in movies that the ground can open up. Yeah. That is definitely false. You need friction between the faults to be able to create an earthquake. Without that, you don't have one.
Now, another big one is, can my pets predict earthquakes? Well, changes in animal behavior cannot be used to exactly predict earthquakes. There have never been scientific proof that animal behavior correlates directly to an earthquake happening.
And finally, California will eventually fall into the ocean. Absolutely impossible that that will happen. If anything, California could start to drift a little farther north up toward the northern regions of the United States and on toward Alaska. So there you have it.
All right. All right, well, thanks for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, just log on to Facebook Live. After the show, we'll be able to answer your questions that you may have.
That's right. And of course, More Access is up next with Sean and Rachel. They will have all your entertainment stories for the day. Thank you for joining us for this Fox 5 Seismic Special.
We'll see you on Facebook in just a couple minutes here.